Nina. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I have my computer, which does not have a webcam. I have the meeting up, and I'm on the phone, and I'm trying to get my tablet, which would have everything, video, audio, and Zoom. I'm trying to get it up. Our Wi-Fi wasn't working for some reason a few minutes ago.
Yeah, mine wasn't either. It was having a hard time finding it. Are you going to be able to record it, or do you want me to?
Well, it's automatic, so it's
okay.
already recording.
Okay.
And then what I need to do is push it live to Facebook when the time is right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's recording now.
Okay, good. Just trying not to get the volume.
I just would like to get my video up, so it will help everybody.
Hey, I see people. Can somebody speak to me so I can check sound for TV?
Hey, Philip, I'll talk to you. I had a few technical difficulties today getting on my video. I wasn't having much luck with Wi-Fi today, but I think I'm almost ready to get started here.
Okay, me too. I've just got to set up a couple of things now. I can see everybody.
Okay, I see someone who's joined us that has their name is just listed as iPad. If you could unmute and tell us who you are, I can fix your name.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go on mute now. Thank you.
Too many names.
All right, everything's good from my side.
Chad, have you heard from any members? I know I've heard from Rupa Blackwell that she'll be absent today.
That's the only one I know of as of now.
So I think we're just waiting for Larry Crabtree.
Is Shelley going to be part of it today?
I haven't heard otherwise, so I believe so.
Okay.
Hey, Jennifer, as a community member, a community person showing up for this meeting, should we be on video or off video?
I think that you're welcome to stay on video, but you might want to hide your video until the public hearing.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that was a good reminder. I'll just tell everyone, if you start to experience your internet lagging, sometimes just turning off the video can help with that, and then we can still hear you, but it just helps the Wi-Fi keep up a little better if you have that problem. Okay. And I have just 1 minute till 4:30, so we'll see if a few more people are trying to join us. We have to get started in just a minute.
Bill. See you tomorrow, Brian.
Oh, there's nothing.
Mute. There we go. Can you hear the chants?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I've never done this. New. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Grimes, I'm ready when you're ready.
All right, we will start. Due to the COVID-19 emergency, the Planning Commission will conduct its essential business by electronic means rather than being required to gather in a quorum of the membership physically present in the same location because it's necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans. This meeting is in compliance with the Governor's Executive Order number 51, which remains in effect until 11:59 p.m. on August 29th, 2020. With that, I will call to order. And it says it has been determined that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the public health and safety and welfare in light of the coronavirus. This recording of this meeting will be available for public online. So we will determine if we have a quorum. I see there's Ray,
Present.
Paul, Mr. Comer. Ms. Blackwell was not be able to join us. Is Ms. Smith available? All right. And Mr. Crabtree. All right. With that being said, there is 4 members present. That is determined to be a quorum. So we can move forward with business. With that, if everybody would stand and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. I'll start us off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. All right. The committee has been given the minutes from our previous meeting. If you will look over those, and I will entertain a motion when everybody is ready.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I will give a roll call vote. Mr. Noes,
Yes.
Mr. Schwerber,
Yes.
Mr. Noes, excuse me, Mr. Comer, sorry.
Yes.
And mine is a yes as well. That is a 4 yeses, 0 nos. All right, moving on to the next business. Do we have any reports from staff, Ms. Moody?
Shelley Smith has joined us.
Okay. All right, Shelley, thank you. The only thing we have gone through is we've just approved the minutes, Shelley.
Yes, so sorry. I had some technical issues with the iPad and the link. Sorry.
Hey, it's not a problem.
My son tried to sign in for Tullahoma City Schools.
All right. Ms. Moody, do we have any reports from staff?
No reports.
No reports. All right. With that, we have no old business. Now we have new business. Our first item on the agenda is a subdivision plat. It is Concord Heights Phase 3, major subdivision preliminary plat. So this is actually a public hearing. Go over these rules each time. I know we have several people here for a public hearing, so I don't know which people are wanting to speak to. In a public hearing, you are given 2 minutes to speak. When you please address who your name is and your address. And if you decide that you would like to give your 2 minutes to somebody else, you're more than welcome to do that. If we have a set spokesperson already assembled for one of the groups, if we at the beginning let us know, hey, we'll do it orderly. I plan on dedicating my 2 minutes to such and such. That way we can let that person have a good 10 or 14 minutes to speak instead of after their 2 minutes come off, then we're asking you to donate your 2 minutes and trying to get back in. So I'll just ask at the beginning, is there anybody that wants to donate their time on public hearing for Concord Heights Phase 3? Okay, with that, if is there anybody that would like to speak about the Concord Heights Phase 3? With nobody stepping up, I will close the public hearing on Concord Heights Phase 3, and I would entertain a motion to open discussion.
I'll make a motion to open discussion.
All right, we have a motion for Mr. Noes.
Second.
Second for Ms. Smith. All right, we are open, move to approve, and what kind of questions do we have, if any?
I would make a comment that this is not in the city, it's in the county, so it's outside the city limits.
Yes, sir, it's in the Boza. I forgot, Miss Moody, I'm sorry, I just powered through. Staff's report for this as well, I apologize.
It's okay. I will share. Yes, the proposed subdivision, it's proposing to create 20 residential lots in our Coffee County urban growth boundary. You may be familiar, it's near New Manchester Highway and Concord Road. And the current zoning in that area is RS1, which is their low density residential. And the proposed plat does meet all of their minimum lot and minimum lot width and minimum setbacks.
All right. Any further discussion from the board?
I just add in that I agree with I wanted to concur with the city engineer's recommendation for for at least a drainage study.
All right. If there's no further discussion, I will call the questions. Motion as it stands is move for approval of the Concord Heights Phase 3 major subdivision preliminary plat. Excuse me. Mr. Square? Paul, your vote?
Aye. Here, yes.
I'm sorry. Okay. Mr. Noes?
Yes.
Mr. Comer?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. That is approved. All right, we will go to another public hearing, site plan. This is Real Wood Product Site Plan. Before we get started, I'm gonna let Ms. Moody speak on anything on the staff report. And go ahead, Ms. Moody.
Yes, I'd be happy to. This is located at 152 Freeman Street. Within the city limits. It's an existing business and they're looking to add an additional large square footage storage building. This is a business you might be familiar with. They take oak barrels, from our distilleries and they repurpose them into planters and tables and all types of different wood products. But they're just adding a 5,760 square foot accessory building. It'll be covered to protect these from the elements, but it's open-sided and really no other changes or additions to the property, but they will be bringing the site into compliance with our landscaping ordinance. So they submitted a landscaping plan along with this site plan. And I will also share that the engineer on this project, Kenny Sadler, sent me a message today. He regrets he could not attend, but we believe that Lonnie Self with OLG may be on this call to represent the project if you have any questions.
Hello, Jennifer. Yes, I'm here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, this is a public hearing. So once again, the public hearing rules, state your name and your address. You're allowed 2 minutes. My first question is we have anybody that will be donating their time to speak on this? All right. And then I will ask, is there anybody who would like to speak regarding this? All right, with that, I will close the public hearing and I would entertain a motion to open discussion.
Move to open for discussion.
Second.
All right, we have Mr. Noes and Ms. Smith, and our motion is that we open discussion for this. All right, any questions from the board?
Jennifer, just for clarity, this is not a Dollar General retail store site plan, correct?
Thank you. I just noticed that error on the project title. It's Heritage Barrels Real Wood Products.
Okay.
All right. Any questions? If there are no questions, I will. Is there a question? Does somebody have one?
Yeah, I mean this is consistent with the land use plan and zoning, correct?
It is.
Okay. I didn't catch that earlier. I'm sorry if I missed it.
All right. Any other questions?
Sounds like a great addition to small businesses here in Tullahoma.
All right, if that's the case, I will call to the question. Move for approval of this particular site plan for the Real Wood Products site. They're on Freeman Street. I will do a roll call. Ms. Smith?
Aye. Yes.
Mr. Comer?
Yes.
Mr. Noes?
Yes.
Mr. Schwer?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. That will be 5-0. Moving on to the next. Another public hearing. All right. This one is for a zoning map amendment. This is the request, the rezoning of 3 parcels, 713, 715, and 717 of East Lincoln Street from general commercial C2 to high density residential R3. With that, Ms. Moody, can you fill us in?
Yes, I'd be happy to. And I happen to have the applicant with me. He forgot it was going to be on Zoom, so he came to City Hall today. Let's see, this one is for 713, 715, and 717 East Lincoln Street. I think many of you will be familiar with this area. It's directly across from Dameron's Restaurant on East Lincoln. These lots are mid-block, and the applicant is looking to build shotgun style single-family homes on these rather narrow lots. Each lot, and these are from just my measurements on the tax card, it looked to be between 50 feet or 60 feet in frontage, wide, and 150 feet deep. This is equal to our minimum lot size in the R3 residential district. And general commercial district C2, which is the current zoning, does not have a minimum lot size. All of these lots also have access to an alley that runs along the rear of the property. The applicant is requesting the rezoning to support construction of the single family dwellings following the shape of the lot. He indicated the proposed homes could be 1 or 2 stories in height, and the combination of the 3 parcels are 0.6 acres in total. They're currently undeveloped vacant land. Immediately on either side of this, the properties are residential in existing use. They're zoned commercial. There's a mix of zoning in the area. I tried to give you a good overview of that, and then also I think the maps illustrate that for you, that there's already a mixture of R3, C2, there's nearby R4 in the area. Some of the homes, regardless of the zoning, they do appear from the street to be single family homes. And so this was an interesting one, I think, to look at, and I'm very interested to hear your discussion. My recommendation was that you consider approval, because I do feel that the proposed amendment is small scale, with it only being 0.6 acres in total with the 3 lots. And that while it is inconsistent with our adopted land use, which designated the area for general commercial, we've looked at this before. The land use plan really took that entire corridor and designated it as commercial. And many of the existing uses are residential in nature. And we have discussed many times the need for more housing and infill in these residential areas, and I thought that maybe we could look at it from that perspective. And then I think the high density request is only because of the minimum lot size. Lots that small would only be allowable in the R3 residential district. Okay, thank you. I'll take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. All right, this is a public hearing. Once again, we will open it up to the public. Please state your name and your address. You're allowed 2 minutes. Right now, is anybody going to be donating their time on the rezoning of 713, 15, 17 East Lincoln Street? All right. Does not sound like we have anybody donating their time. Does anybody like to speak on the rezoning of those parcels?
I would be glad.
Okay, I think the applicant would like to speak. Hold on 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, what about now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. I have owned this property for a long time and have had it listed several times as commercial property. And I have not, I've had it probably 10 or 12 years, maybe. And I have not had the first person that was interested in building. So I decided I need to do something with the property. And this would be, I'm not talking about putting super cheap homes there, but I think some designed homes for narrow lots with a front entry with a drive, with a sidewalk out in front, and maybe use it accessing from the back with the coming in from the alley in the back would be most of your traffic there. But I'm not trying to put in a 500 or 1,000 square foot house here. I mean, there's room, there's plenty of home plans that are 30 to 35 foot wide that would fit perfect here. It's a good location. It's walkable downtown. You've got a school there. You've got a grocery store. It is I think, a very sellable lot and very sellable house. And the neighborhood from back toward town is good. It's good out, on out through there even. But that's a good. It could work there, and I would appreciate your consideration.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Howard. All right, would anybody else like to speak? All right, and if not, I will close the public hearing. I would entertain a motion so we can open discussion. This is just our recommendation. This is not an approval. So.
Open the motion for discussion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we will go forward. That was Mr. Noes and Shelley Smith with the second.
Turn the sound down. I'll turn mine back up.
All right.
I'll be.
All right. All right.
We're good.
Okay, I think we got it now. All right, so as the motion stands, is this correct, Mr. Noes, that you favorable motion to the Board of Mayor and Alderman for this rezoning? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, it kind of got a little crazy there. And we had a second. I heard your first and I heard Shelley's second. I was just making sure that was the right one. All right, any discussion within the board?
So
I would make the following comment. Excuse me, Paul. I would
Go
make
ahead.
the following comment that in that area, it's pretty apparent that the need for quality housing there, the type that's being proposed, is far greater need than the commercial development that might someday be used there. So that's why I suggest that that be favorably reviewed.
Okay.
I definitely agree with Ray. That sounds like a good use for that land. Couple of questions for Jennifer, I guess. Is there street parking at that block in Lincoln? Do we know?
No, there's no on-street parking.
Okay, because that would be also consistent with, I think, the type of houses he would like to put there. But I mean, I do know there's an alleyway, so I mean, you can have a garage in the rear or something like that too. Also, does it open up that one lot to the to the west, I guess, maybe 7-11 to a kind of a spot zone? It's kind of sitting by itself.
I agree. I think I tried to point that out in my comments that it would be better if that property were to join this request.
I mean, in my opinion, I would think that would just like make the whole block R3. But you know, that's not for me. Anyway,
I wasn't able to reach that property owner, but the existing use there is residential.
yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of thought.
I would guess that the property owner may not be aware of our code and how the underlying zoning could be detrimental to that owner being zoned commercial, but with an existing home on it. If there were even a natural disaster or something that occurred that destroyed that home more than 50% of its value, it would not be able to be rebuilt. And so if I'm able to reach that property owner, I'll try to inform them and see if they want to seek the rezoning.
I will just jump in real quick and just concur with Ray that the demand here is what it is, and that developers and property owners, they will, you know, this is a natural demand. This is a very organic development, in my opinion, and I think this density is appropriate.
Anybody else have any comments? With that, I will call the question and I will ask for a vote. This is for the rezoning, a favorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor Alderman. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Comer?
Yes.
Mr. Noes?
Yes.
Mr. Schwer?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. So that is 5-0 favorable motion. All right. We are now to a second zoning map amendment. This is once again zoning map amendment. It's going to be requesting to rezone 2.3 acres at the Y intersection of Riley Creek Road and Ovoca Road from low density residential R1 to neighborhood commercial district C3. Of course, this will be a recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And I will first go to Ms. Moody if she would like to speak.
Sure, I'd be happy to. This area is presently zoned R1, our low density district, which allows single family dwelling. The future our land use plan shows it as low density residential going into the future. And I would say that's fairly consistent. All of the existing uses are either agricultural or residential, with mostly subdivisions in that area. So the applicant is requesting some type of small scale commercial development. Obviously, it's only a 2-acre parcel. So it would be something small scale, something to serve the neighborhood, and request that we look at the C3 zoning. Our C3 zoning district is our only mixed use district that allows for some residential use and some small scale neighborhood commercial. As you're aware, we have not, while we adopted that zoning in definition, we have not done any land use studies or updated our comprehensive plan to indicate where that zoning district would best be applied in the city. At this time, because of those circumstances, the existing character, the land use plan, and the fact that we haven't done an updated land use study in that area, I'm not able to support this request.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Moody. All right.
Chad, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm wondering, because I live directly downstream from this, do I need to recuse myself because I'm a property owner? Just that would be affected maybe in some way. I'm so sorry. I'm not real clear because I may have a vested interest in this. I know that we're missing Miss Blackwell today, and Jennifer, do you know if it's not actually my property, is that appropriate? This would be my first time in this circumstance.
Denali, no.
Well, I know we have the city attorney just now joining us.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to give him a chance to comment on your question.
Okay.
Let's see if he gets connected here.
So we would have shared riparian waterway. I just want to make sure. I don't think that there's an issue. I just want to make sure because I know that it's sort of been an issue, and I don't want to get myself into making any type of opinion that could be construed as in my best interest.
I mean, I don't believe you have a direct conflict of interest and that you're not going to financially win or lose related to this rezoning request.
Okay.
Mr. Worsham trying to get on.
I can see he's connected, but I don't see any video.
Well, we can go ahead and open the public forum of this.
Okay.
And if we can get him connected, then we can re-ask that question.
Just let me know if I need to refuse. Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shelley. All right. I'm about to open this up to public hearing. Once again, state your name and your address. You're allowed 2 minutes. I know we have multiple people on the call. And so is there anybody that would like to go ahead and donate their time to an individual?
Yes.
Yes, Chad.
Yes.
Renee King, 2108 Ovoca Road. I would defer my 2 minutes and state your name and your address.
Charlotte Oliver, 2108 Ovoca Road.
Who would you
Defer
like to
both of ours.
Okay. To anybody particular?
To Brian Hayes.
Brian Hayes. Okay. Thank you. All right. I heard somebody else.
Yes. Lee Yoder, 101 Fairways Boulevard West. I want to donate my time to Brian Hayes.
All right. Mr. Hayes, another 2 minutes. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah. Eric Docks, 2102 Ovoca Road. I'd like to donate my 2 minutes to Brian Hayes as well.
All right. There's another 2. Anybody else?
Melinda Tan.
Oh, okay. Yes, Ms. Tan?
I would like to donate my 2 minutes to Brian Hayes, please.
Okay.
Oh, 2014 Avoca.
Thank you, Ms. Tan.
Yeah.
All right. I heard somebody else.
I've been trying. This is John Nichols. I'm at 214 Fairways Boulevard North. I thought this was starting at 4:30, so I apologize. I'd like to donate my time, but I'd like to say quickly that I vehemently oppose this rezoning. Thank you very much.
Who are you donating your time to, sir?
Whoever wants to take it.
Yes, Brian, you've got a bunch already. We'll just put it right there with you, sir.
That's fine. I've got to go to my meeting. Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anybody else like to? Oh, okay. Yes.
Joyce Heber.
Yes.
I live at 2105 Avoca Road, and I would like to defer my 2 minutes to Brian.
Anybody else?
Yes. Ginger Ennis.
Oh, Ginger. All right.
109 Fairways Boulevard North.
To Brian.
Yes, I'd like to defer my time to Brian.
All right, thank you, Ginger. All right, anybody else?
Yes, Christy Hayes.
You got one more afternoon.
All right, Christy Hayes. Can you do that?
2106, and I'd like to defer to Brian Hayes, please.
All right. Anybody else?
Adam Moon at 2100 Avoca Road. For what it's worth, I'll give it to Brian.
Okay, 2 more minutes for Brian. All right, anybody else?
Cecil Bowler, 201 Fairways Boulevard North. Yield my time to John Miller.
To John Miller. Okay. Mr. Miller. Anybody else? All right. With that, Jennifer, did you keep up with how many 2 minutes for Mr. Hayes?
I did. And I also want to share that I received a petition, and I have a few letters also to read into the minutes. So it's at your pleasure. You want me to do that first or second?
I will go ahead and let you read read it into the minutes, please.
Okay. This letter is from John and Melinda Tant. Ms. Moody, please be informed we're strongly opposed to the rezoning of the undeveloped two-acre tract at the Y intersection of Riley Creek and Avoca Road for the following reasons. It's presumed that this location is targeted for a quick stop convenience store, which is not of necessity or benefit in this residential area. The entire area surrounding this parcel is private residential on 3 sides and farm acreage on the west side. Such convenience store of this type is already located within 1 mile of the residential area. 2, this location has proven to be a traffic hazard due to the volume of current traffic traveling at speeds exceeding the speed limit, especially during inclement weather. A state traffic study dated June 6, 2019 confirms this condition with recommended options for reconstruction of this intersection. I do not feel this study is fully accurate because the following stated data. Turning movement traffic data. Counts were collected at the Avoca Road and Riley Creek intersection on Thursday, March 21st, 2019. 8 hours of data were collected over a 12-hour period. The AM and PM peak hour volumes. Traffic volume was less on this date due to this being the first day of the Tullahoma school spring break. Also, a 1-day 8-hour count does not give adequate time does not give adequate amount of time for this study. Traffic counts should have been laid across the roads involved for at least 7 days and then average daily counts made. With the increased number of new houses and new subdivisions located north and west of this intersection, the traffic has increased even since the 2019 study. 3rd, locating a commercial establishment will increase the traffic level and also prevent additional hazardous traffic movement in and out of the business. This will also create a more hazardous condition for vehicles entering and exiting residences in this area. We're concerned that a commercial establishment would also affect the property values and resaleability of surrounding residential properties. Again, we strongly oppose the rezoning. We request to deny the rezoning application. I received an email from Cameron Ray, and sorry, I have a business address, not a home address. It's 925 North Washington Street. I received the letter. I have a lot within 100 feet of the intersection, and I would be opposed to the rezoning for mostly drainage and congestion issues. Commercial development on this property would lead to further congestion, in my opinion, at an already awkward intersection. If you have any questions, please contact me at this email address. And it sounds like he also signed the petition. Another one from Brandon Waller. Sorry, again, I don't have an address for this email. Said, to whom it may concern, recently a neighbor sent me an email about a current rezoning to a neighborhood commercial district. I just want to express my concern about the traffic in that area already with all of the housing going up in that area. That intersection is already dangerous as it is. I'm afraid that this will only increase the amount of congestion in that area, and I have no idea what is being planned, but as a resident of Somerset, I strongly oppose any more development in that area. I have the petition from the Fairways Community Association. It says, we, the owners of the property within the Fairways subdivision, do hereby register our opposition to the proposed reclassification of the undeveloped 2-acre tract at the Y intersection. Allowing a commercial business such as a convenience market, gas station, or other highly trafficked business to be constructed there will significantly increase the traffic at this already dangerous intersection and pose an undue increased hazard to traffic on both roadways, as well as pose an increased vehicular off-road mishap risk to the Fairways residences that front Avoca Road near the intersection. Furthermore, eliminating the woodlands in that area will exacerbate the stormwater runoff problems that are now being experienced within our subdivision as a result of runoff from the new subdivision immediately behind this proposed parcel. We respectfully request that the Planning Commission deny this proposed zoning change. Attached pages for 41 of our 77 individual property owner signatures collected over a 3-day period. And then just one more minute. Edward and Brenda Lavery of 2325 Avoca Road said that they oppose for the following reasons. 1, safety of existing traffic at this awkward intersection. It's already a risk due to excessive speeding, traffic volume, and turn radius constraints. 2, the volume of traffic movements has increased with subdivision development and single-family homes directly behind this wide tract of land. 3, an increase in transient people may subject households and children playing outside to unforeseen risks. 4, any commercial establishment would reduce the appeal of the area, given a major reason that families choose to live in the Riley Creek, Avoca Road area is enjoyment of the serenity there. Laura Vaughn sent this. I live at 307 Somerset Lane and drive by the intersection several times a day. The intersection's already congested, and I feel with an added commercial building, it would make the area overly crowded for drivers. Also, the area is obviously a residential area. Within the area, there's a single-family homes and neighborhoods consisting of Emerald Meadows, the Fairways, Jennings Point, and Somerset. One of the reasons my husband and I bought our home in 2006 was because of the location. The area is close to his work on Kings Lane, but far enough away that it isn't a busy area. Please consider my request not to make the change. Let's see. Beverly Lee at 114 Fairways Boulevard. I understand there will be a rezoning of this property. As has been brought up to the city of Tullahoma in the past, this is a very dangerous intersection with poor visibility of oncoming traffic. Also this morning, I drove to many commercial properties abutting residential areas, and as I knew, but confirmed, there is an abundance of trash surrounding the businesses as well as at the business. It is especially true of gas stations with convenience stores. Certainly, if I were a new homeowner in the Emerald Meadows subdivision, I would be aghast at the possibility of any type of commercial business building abutting my new home in a beautiful, peaceful residential neighborhood. Let's see. Cindy Jones, 2107 Avoca Road. I am opposed to the rezoning of subject property to C3. I moved to Tennessee in 2019 and specifically selected my property in Tullahoma due to its location, neighboring subdivisions, property value, and safety. The surrounding neighborhoods to this 2-acre property is family oriented and it should remain such. The traffic at the Y intersection has increased significantly in the past year, as well as Avoca Road. The excessive speed of vehicles has increased as well on Avoca. I fear that a commercial property would significantly increase traffic to the already existing traffic issues, pose a safety risk, and cause a negative impact on home values to surrounding neighborhoods. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comment. I stand opposed to this rezoning. Kim Morris at 2019 and 2021 Avoca Road. They said, we own my grandparents' houses at 2019 and 2021 Avoca Road and rent them to families in Tullahoma. As you know, this intersection is already very congested and dangerous. Since I can remember, it's always been difficult to turn into driveways for fear of being rear-ended, and pulling out of the driveways is treacherous as well. In fact, my husband's mother was involved in a serious wreck back in the 70s. This area has grown significantly since then, making the intersection increasingly hazardous. Rezoning the tract for commercial use would severely impact the traffic flow, making the intersection extremely unsafe, if not deadly. This proposed rezoning would also affect many more residents than our two homes, residents that bought their homes in purely residential communities on the outskirts of the city limits. The increased congestion at the intersection, diminished property values, and the environmental concerns of water runoff are all very valid reasons not to negatively impact the area by commercially rezoning this small 2-acre tract in the middle of residential communities. My husband and I strongly urge this committee to vote against the rezoning. David and Kim Miles.
All right, is that it? Okay, thank you, Ms. Moody. We heard Mr. Hayes' name quite a few times. How much time is yielded to Mr. Hayes at this time?
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to find my paper, but I believe it's 10 minutes. There we go, 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
I'm sorry, 10 people.
10 people, okay. Okay.
I have 20 minutes. I have 20 minutes.
20 minutes, yes.
20 minutes, okay. 20 minutes, all right. I will start with Mr. Hayes since he's been yielded the most time with 20 minutes.
Do you want to speak first?
I may.
Chairman?
Yes.
Would it be appropriate to let the applicant? He said he may save them some minutes.
Okay, that'll be perfectly fine. Mr. Howard, if you would go ahead and we'll give you the first 2 minutes and then we'll go from there.
Okay. They hear me off your speaker, Jennifer.
Actually, here's off yours.
Okay, I know I'll try it. Okay, am I on now? Okay, you know, I didn't, oh, hang on. Okay, we were getting some feedback here. My plans for this property's been sitting there a long time also. And there used to be a store, according to some people around this area, that was at that corner. I realized I came into this meeting knowing how you guys felt about this, and I understand your feelings about it. And I'm not trying to really come in there and put a 7-Eleven store in. I don't even have anything in mind to put in that location. But I envision something in an area that has that many houses around it and more houses coming. I would envision something there like a coffee shop, something. I mean, there's trees there that could be hidden back in. The drainage problem was mentioned a while ago of the neighboring subdivision, that could be helped by this property, by giving that some of that property to the city. And also the traffic. I mean, the entrance up there, that could be helped. But I was just envisioning something that people could walk to on all those sidewalks that we're putting in out there. As a neighbor, something for the neighborhood. It is zoned for homes right now, which is what I do. But I have done in Momentus, and I've done a couple more in Tullahoma. But I'm not trying to make a bunch of money on this deal. I just think that if the neighborhood wanted something there, like a planned community development would have in Nashville or Murfreesboro or Chattanooga or anywhere else, that the planning commission and the neighborhood could work together to get something there. And what my plans are, if you guys really don't want that, then I have plans already drawn to come in there with, like, I think it's 4 lots, And also at the same time, give the city some room to make a better turn onto Ryder Creek and probably some drainage in the back too. So I'm not that hard to work with. I just think that you guys might be missing an opportunity to improve your neighborhood. If I make any sense there at all. But I really think if I lived in that neighborhood, if there were a nice coffee shop or just a very small store there and not gas pumps and all that, that I think I would enjoy walking up to the little store for ice creams or to get a, to get a cup of coffee or a meeting area. But if that's not what you can envision, then I will move on to housing. And that's about all I would have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. All right. Mr. Hayes, you're allowed 20 minutes. If you would just state your name and your address, and then Nina's got the time. She'll let us know when your 20 minutes is up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Grimes. My name is Brian Hayes. I live at 2106 Avoca Road. Directly across from this property that's under questioning for rezoning. I'm a voice for basically most of the neighbors that live along Avoca Road, as well as some of Fairways and from Emerald Meadows and the new Flint Rock subdivision there that's just been developed. One thing I want to, talk, with Mr. Howard is, we do want to work with you and hope you work with the city on getting this property straightened out. This property has a long history of drainage problems, and it's been, the problem is worse with the new Emerald Meadows development and the new Flint Rock subdivision development. I think there was some lack of drainage plans in those developments. And I do have a presentation here, and hopefully you can see my screen. Maybe, can you share a screen? Jennifer?
It's shared right now, Brian.
Okay.
Just let me know and I'll help you scroll through.
Yeah, just go ahead and scroll, and I'm just going to go through this. I don't want to take too much time, but I want to get all this entered into record. Like I said, I'm presenting this to be a unified concern from us here on Avoca Road and Raleigh Creek. And basically, we know this is already approved for residential houses. And, we just want to make sure that even if this development goes forth with 4 houses or whatever, we want to make sure that traffic and drainage is really addressed in this. It's a major concern to all of us, and it's a major engineering problem for a civil engineer. Basically, this commercial property, we come, my wife's from Brentwood in that area, and those areas are getting commercial properties embedded into residential areas, but you're talking about like Publix markets and big, big things instead of little coffee shops and things. And one thing we're concerned about is you may have good intentions, Mr. Howard, but the next person comes along may demolish it and do something else in that area, maybe a gas station or something. And just up front, we're definitely hoping the Planning Commission denies this approval to rezone to commercial. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And from reading Mr. Tant's letter, I concur with his assessment. I'm an engineer, so I look at things analytically. And one thing I look at is a one-day study on a time that's not a very good traffic situation at that Y intersection. It's very little experimental data. So your uncertainty of how good that study is just went way up into where it's really uncertain if what those traffic engineers did is actually good and consistent data. So you keep going to the next. The biggest things that we all know, I've lived in Tullahoma since '83. When I was in high school, I had a had not a direct friend, but a brother of a friend, a graduating class, die on Avoca Road. Was before the actual speed bumps were put in down the way past Avoca Lake. So speeding's been a problem for a long time. It's just getting worse with the increased number of subdivisions and things like that. You know, the speed limit's around 30, 35, but most people are doing 40 to 50. There's probably about 5 to 10 cars each day that's at least 50 miles per hour by the time they go by my property. So it's not too far down the fort. They usually put it on the accelerator. You hear the engine rev up, and I mean, they're hitting it hard. It's very scary. We don't let our kids play in the front yard at all. We do use that sidewalk somewhat, but try to minimize the use of that sidewalk in the front of Avoca just because of the excess speeding. You know, it's probably about a 50-50 split. Raleigh Creek has a lot of speeders, and Avoca Road is actually catching up with Raleigh Creek on how many speeders are going down, taking the Avoca Road split. Go to the next slide, please. The biggest thing I see is there's just too many centerline crossovers from there. Every time I come in from Avoca going to my house, I'm staying on the right or staying on the shoulder. There's always a crossover there. There's just not enough bank. People are not paying attention. People doing 40, 50 miles per hour. There's just no way to maintain your lane. A lot of times it's tractor trailers coming from Smead Machine or Dickel or maybe something else out there. They never hold their lane. So I'm always cautious. My wife is cautious. We always slow down at that intersection just because we're used to doing that, you know, 3 to 6 times a day. So we just see that a lot. And of course, the cell phone thing. Everybody's playing on their cell phone, and you'll see it. We slow down to about 20, 25 miles per hour. Someone kind of veers in our lane. And it could be just ever so slightly. It doesn't take much to you know, have a small collision there. So you go to the next slide, please. On this property here, that's the thing is, how do you get in and out of this property? You know, we had the Flint Rock down there where they had it was approved. The driveways had to have a turnaround, which works out pretty good because you never want to back out on Avoca Road near this fork. That's just, you're asking for a eventual accident or a major issue there if you're backing out. You always got to pull out forward on this road. But what I don't know that can be done cleanly, even with a turnaround in this property, you know, how can these cars enter into Avoca or Raleigh Creek with the house, even with houses here, very safely with the existing Y intersection up here? You know, we've said in that traffic study that one of the solutions is a roundabout. We think that's the best solution. I travel in big cities all the time, and those roundabouts are all over the place in high traffic areas, and they work. They make you slow down. So we think, you know, there's a lot of solutions provided. We think it's just a very small Band-Aid on a large problem that needs to be addressed. Other cities are doing this, like Winchester has a new roundabout to address one of their safety issues in the highway there. Looks really nice. You can make this really nice looking and a nice feature for the area. And I think that would slow down the traffic. Probably make some people mad on Raleigh Creek and Avoca Road, the ones that like to do 45 or 50 miles an hour, but I think that would help us out long-term solution. Go to the next one. The biggest concern I have is this stormwater. I bought this property in 2006. I built my house. I was a general contractor in 2007. It's been an issue for years. It's been kind of bad, but as you'll see here, it just keeps getting worse. Emerald Meadows, they have removable trees. Emerald Meadows has a real good drainage plan. I have it. I've reviewed it. It's a really nice drainage plan. The only problem is some of the houses that's here on the backside that's facing this Y property actually added drainage into that property. Same with Flint Rock. Flint Rock actually added drainage into this property. And so as we see development going further, we just keep pushing water downstream. And I'm of course the main recipient of it. Miss Renee King right beside me shares a property line that gets this water, and then it just flows on back through Fairways. So eventually all of Fairways gets it and then back into Kings Ridge. Go to the next slide, please. So you can see here, this is just a quick map. It's just showing that there's a large farm over here that's usually planted with some crops. Usually that's the variable in how much flow we get. If it's planted with crops, the flow is still pretty decent, but not as bad. But the times of year that the crops are not planted, it's really bad. So you can go to the next slide, please. And just looking at a satellite image here, the farm is this big area on the left here at Raleigh Creek, that area there. You can see a big drainage ditch there. That's not even ditch, it's just naturally formed, just the drainage. So you can see that very, very well going down into this Y intersection of the property. You can go to the next page, please. So just looking at the storm water flow paths, you have Jennings Point flowing into this property. You have this subdivision behind Grace Baptist, and to the left of Grace Baptist flowing in. All the surface water from this farm. You have a portion of Raleigh Creek that dips down, it flows in, and all flows in down to one culvert that basically flows under the road there at Raleigh Creek and enters this Y property, and eventually exits over and goes under a culvert under Avoca Road into my property. And it eventually snakes its way. I don't have it drawn, but it snakes its way all through fairways, through the golf course, and back into Kings Ridge. Go to the next slide, please. Basically, Fairways HOA, we had a licensed civil engineer review this. Unfortunately, Mr. Lowndes passed away, and he had poor health right at the end. He's a really good structural engineer and land surveyor, and just really good. So he was really going to try to help us out, and had a lot of meetings with a lot of the developers of these areas. But the one thing, he's seeing here is this, what I have highlighted, this current configuration of Avoca Road and ditch. And this is the ditch that's in the Y property in front of my property, but across the road in the Y property. It basically acts as a detention area. So it's a berm, it's a dam to slow down and retain the water unintentionally. That's just how the natural lay of the land is. And then it enters my 15-inch culvert that goes under Avoca. So basically, when that ditch fills and then that water backs up, then it's eventually going to flow over the road and into my ditch in my front yard. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is just showing the nominal flow. So this is just a nominal flow of how that water goes through that property. So the whole backside of Mr. Howard's property has pretty good flow during nominal rains. So if you go to the next slide. This is showing here just some major events that we've documented. We usually always try to take pictures and videos, and these are just some of the ones that we have. Starting back in 2009 is the earliest that I could find on one of my older computers. And basically you can see there's a progression. There's a full front ditch with just a small sheet flow over the Avoca Road. Then when you get down into 2015, that turns into a full ditch and then a large sheet flow. And then the Y property starts to flood. Now we're up in 2019 and we get the full ditch, a large sheet flow over the Avoca Road, the Y property flooded, and my front yard totally floods. So we've got a progression that's getting worse. So if you go down to the next slide, here's just showing one in May 1 and 2 of 2009. I went back and looked at some history, and this is when Emerald Meadows is probably not fully developed. Flint Rock's not even in the radar. About an inch of rain fell on May 1st, so the ground was saturated. Additional 1/10 of an inch fell on May 2nd. If you go on the next slide, you can see what the results are. There's the full front ditch, and there's a small sheet flow coming over from the Y property across from my way on the right. So it's breached that unintentional berm that's on the Y property. So if you go to the next slide, you can see that 2009 flow. I've added like a little pool there because that's water starting to build up and doing just a small sheet flow going over Avoca Road. Cars have to marginally slow down. Most of them just shoot right through it and have a rooster tail behind them. Go to the next slide, please. On Christmas Eve and Christmas of 2015, Emerald Meadows a little bit more developed. Flint Rock's still not developed. We had no rain on December 24th, but then we had almost 0.86 inches fell on December 25th in about 70 minutes Christmas morning. So if we go to the next slide, you can see we have the large full sheet flow of water coming over Avoca Road. Looks like a dam with a spillway going over. And you see the Y property on that side. The Y property has flooded greatly on the other side of the road for me at 2106. Go to the next slide, please. This is just a video. You don't have to play it if you don't want to, but the Planning Commission can review that video if needed. It just shows the the force of the water coming over the road. Next slide. So you can see the 2015, we've got larger flooding and we got more sheet flow. So we've increased this flow, and my guess is due to more flow coming from Emerald Meadows at the time, being more developed. Okay, next slide. This is coming up a little bit more closer, March 8th and 9th of 2019. Emerald Meadows has more houses. Flint Rock is developed now. We had about 4 tenths on March 8th, and we had 2 inches fall on March 9th over a 7-hour period. So if you go to the next slide, you can see we have a full ditch, hard full sheet flow coming over that road, and my yard is a lake. It's all the way up to the front porch, and the Y property is fully flooded. So we just keep getting worse. Okay, next slide. So now we have more flooding on that Y property, and I'm not for sure. I don't go in behind the property. I'm sure that's flooded out pretty good too, but I don't ever feel comfortable going back there. And now we've got a pretty good hazard in Avoca Road, and then my whole front yard is flooded, and it's encroaching on Miss Renee King's property as well. Next slide, please. This one I would like to play if you could. This is showing a couple of trucks going by. If you could play that. If not, no problem.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can. I had tried this open with Google Slides.
Oh, yes.
Earlier.
If you open with Google Slides, it will not work. That's right.
Okay.
But eventually, you know, I would like the Planning Commission to review that. It shows 2 cars about colliding there because that hard full sheet flow, it's a great amount of volume of water on that road at that time. And there's just no warning. If you're not from around, even if you're from around there, you're not expecting that. Go to the next slide. So I just conclude there. We have a long history there. I think there's got to be some expert, some engineering firm that needs to study this and get this under control, especially if we have the trees removed from this wide property development. You're going to increase the stormwater even more because you don't have roots absorbing the water. You have hardscape surfaces. It's going to generate more runoff. So there's got to be a real good detailed drain study, stormwater drain study to kind of figure out what can you do. Otherwise, taking those trees down, developing 4 houses there, even residential, you know, we know that that can be done, but we're really recommending that we get a real good drain study there before the plat is approved. And just to reinforce, the Avoca Road neighbors and Raleigh Creek neighbors, the commercial rezoning should not be approved. And that's all I have at this time. Thank you. And thank you everybody for deferring their time to me.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
You're welcome.
All right. Public hearing is still open. I know that Mr. Miller got 2 minutes, so that would mean he had 4 minutes. Would you like to speak, Mr. Miller?
I just wanted to add to the petition we submitted. We had 41 sign it, and I turned it in Friday. I had 3 more petitions delivered to me after I turned in to Jennifer on Friday. So that's 44 of our 77 residents strongly oppose. And Brian did a great job with his presentation.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller. All right. Would anybody else like to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would. Yeah. My name is Jeff Rowe. This is my wife, Allison. We actually live in Emerald Meadows. We live in one of those properties that front the barely 2 acres that you're talking about. So we are opposed to that development most strongly. Couldn't agree more with the things that Brian was pointing out. We're on the other side of all that. We don't have that flooding, thankfully, today. But I'm opposed to it for a couple of different reasons. One is you've heard multiple times there's a question about the intersection. I think before any development, I can't stop him from building houses, but any development, that intersection should be resolved. That's number one. Number two, anything other than residential is not consistent with this area. I think you probably heard there's probably a sum total of 100 people, Mr. Howard, that say they don't want that in the area. So, I mean, that's something I think you should think of. Also, and that what the presentation about the flooding, I've driven over there when there's probably 6 inches of water on the road, something like that during those times that he was pointing out. And there's a creek back there. It's a full-blown creek. It happens to be dry today, but there's water in it all the time. So, I mean, it's not even 2 acres. I don't even know how much there would be developed that you could develop, because I believe there has to be setbacks and things between those type of waterways. It's a waterway, to be sure, with other drainage areas coming into it. So those are the reasons that I'm opposed to it. I guess I'm the only person on this video chat from the Emerald Meadows subdivision, but I've talked, I'm not going to try to represent them, but I've talked to my neighbors who are greater than 100 feet away from this and didn't know about this. And they said, well, wow, I'd be against that as well. So I'm not trying to represent them to you. I'm just saying there's more people than just myself in Emerald Meadows that do not want that certainly rezoned, let alone built. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Allison, would you have anything to say, or are you okay?
No, I appreciate the sentiment Mr. Howard has on that property, but until we resolve those issues, I really feel strongly that we should not move forward with that rezoning until these issues are resolved.
Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak during this public hearing?
Oh, if I can get it on.
All right.
Okay. Okay. The thing I would like to say it's about the Emerald Meadows subdivision. I put that in. That was a very well engineered. 90% of that water off of Emerald Meadows flows back to detention ponds on the other end of the property. Emerald Meadows has almost nothing to do with this property. Now, there might be some, I didn't develop the ones along Riley Creek, Avoca Road there, those homes there, but Emerald Meadows has almost nothing to do with this property that I can see. There's all the water flows the other direction. And that's all I would have. Thank you.
Any other public comments? All right, if that is, I will close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion for zoning map amendment 238, requesting the rezoning of 2.3 acres at the Y intersection of Raleigh Creek and Avoca Road from R1 to C3.
Motion to oppose.
Motion to entertain for discussion. Is that?
Wait. So we have right now we have the motion from Mr. Schwer for to oppose. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Comer's a second. Before we start discussion, was Mr. Worsham ever able to sign on? I will take that as a no. All right. Shelley, I will leave that up to you, what you decide.
I'm certain it's a non-issue. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. All right. So discussion is open for us to send a unfavorable for this rezoning to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Any discussion within the group?
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're fine, Shelley.
Jennifer, I don't have the subdivision requirement regs in front of me. For the PUD, do we have a minimum acreage requirement? I know a lot of the communities that I've worked in, to have a planned unit development, the minimum acreage would be maybe 5 acres on average.
I don't recall.
Okay, I'd always do this to you. I'm sorry. My only thing is like I'm just to be honest, I support walkable urbanism, and there are a ton of houses there. While I don't understand exactly, because I'm usually on the other side of the fence, or I'm the developer coming before the planning commission. So in that agenda packet, he specifically says he wanted to put maybe possibly a quick stop in there, and so that's a very specific use. But the use for commercial is very broad. But a planned unit development would be in more of a negotiation, where if everyone said, okay, we don't want an asphalt, we don't want a bunch of hardscaping, or we don't want all these parking, like all this traffic. But if you wanted to have a neighborhood market or something that was a benefit to the neighborhoods, that was more of an amenity to the neighborhoods that are there, and less of a gas station, that would be maybe a way to compromise. But I'm not sure. It's such a small lot. The acreage is so small. I don't know. I'm just looking to you whether that would be an option. Because otherwise, just opening it up to commercial seems odd to me, but make it, unless it benefits the surrounding neighborhoods. But if it was more of a neighborhood amenity or center, that could be a compromise, if that makes sense to everyone. And that would be what your a planned unit development, or a PDD in other states I've worked in, but
Okay.
I don't know if that's an option or not.
Thank you, Shelley. Anybody else have a comment upon?
One additional comment that I would make is that while I don't know off the top of my head I don't recall there being a minimum lot size for a planned development. I know that our commercial districts do not have a minimum lot size. So it lends me to think that we would not have a minimum lot size for the planned developments.
Thank you, Jennifer. Paul, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just gonna say that is like, I mean, this is definitely not consistent with the land use plan, and really, in my familiarity with the intersection back there and stuff like that, it's a really poor location for something like that. With Shelley, definitely support walkable urbanism with something. It would be nice to have something back there, but that is definitely not the place for it. I kind of, Brian did a really good job with this presentation. From my being back there with the riding my bicycle back in that direction, you can tell that there is a lot of heavy braking going towards that stop sign, just from the speeding that happens out there. In my opinion, it's known too high, but that's like the worst part of the road in all of Tullahoma, is that little spot right in front of that stop sign. On my bicycle, I'm on the center line just to avoid the potholes. But anyway, I'll quit my griping. I think that this is inconsistent with the land use plan. I'll move on.
And I respect that. I would just say, if it was possible to do a planned unit development, then you could negotiate maybe the parking requirements, so that, again, I think the key word would be walkable, and more, if it was more of a neighborhood amenity that supported biking and walking, and made more of an impetus for the type of use that you feel necessary there. Yes.
Definitely agree. It's just, there's that little portion of land, I don't see anything safely coming out of that in that realm.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Shelley. Any, Mr. Noes, did you need the floor?
I guess I need to weigh in on this, Mr. Howard. I'm probably more familiar with this intersection and make more passes through it than anyone else on the commission. And as far as the drainage issue goes, whether it stays residential, we best keep it residential and build 4 houses on it. I think it's going to be a worse situation for drainage than it would be if there were one commercial building there. So actually, I don't see that leaving it residential is going to do anything to help the drainage issue. I think the bigger issue, as many have alluded, is the Riley Creek Road, Ovoca Road intersection there with the poorly planned intersection there with Ovoca Road coming into Riley Creek. The city really needs a portion of that Y in order to facilitate improving that intersection there. And I haven't been run off the road there since yesterday with a trailer truck coming down Riley Creek Road, running me over into the ditch in front of the houses there on Ovoca Road. So that intersection is a much more critical issue for me than how we zone this property. And being, yes, I agree that it's not consistent with it's spot zoning and by definition. So I'd have to oppose it on those grounds. But I think we, the planning commission, have a bigger role to play here in deciding how that property is ultimately used. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Noes. All right. Is there any other comments from the commission? With that being said, I will call the question. And as stated, this is a unfavorable from our commission to this Board of Mayor and Aldermen. So basically, if you're saying yes, you're saying no, we don't like it. I know it's kind of a little different there, but with that, Mr. Noes?
Yes.
Mr. Comer?
Yes.
Mr. Schwer?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well to make it unanimous. So that we will send a unfavorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor Aldermen for the rezoning of this. All right, with that, is there any other business, Ms. Moody?
No, just the Board of Zoning.
Our next meeting is Monday, September 1st, 2020. Will that one be in person since we will be out from underneath the Executive Order 51?
I believe so. I'll let you know if let me see. I'll let you know if the governor extends his executive order.
Okay. All right then. With that, I adjourn today's Planning Commission meeting. Thank you for everybody. Now we have to go into the Board of Zoning Appeals. So we've ended one. Let's start another. I'm going to call to order the Board of Zoning and Appeals meeting. We have one item to go over, and we have to approve the previous minutes from July 20th, 2020. So we have a quorum. So I will entertain a motion on the minutes.
And I hoped that I would have the minutes for you today, and I wasn't able to get those for you in time.
Save that for next time then.
Yes.
All right, so then let's go ahead and move in to, we have no unfinished business, new business, public hearing. It's a variance case, 211. Ms. Moody, would you like to fill us in?
Yes, I will. And I believe the applicant is on the phone, available to speak to this item. This is a setback variance request. The applicant is proposing to build an addition onto his home for a 2-car garage. The additional square footage would reduce the setback by about 6 feet, so leaving 4 feet between the wall of the proposed structure and the property line. There are several, I've had a long discussion with Mr. Millen about different options, and I would say the primary restrictions with his lot are that he is on while he is in the city limits, he is on a septic system and the field lines are in the backyard of the property. So he's unable to just extend his driveway and build the garage in the back of his property. Also, I thought it was noteworthy, he does have an existing garage, but we believe it may only be 20 feet in depth. It's barely big enough for the car. He says he has to open the garage door. Once he's in the garage, he has to keep the garage door open to walk around the cars. And he has multiple cars and I believe a boat that he may want to keep on the property. In talking with the building codes inspector and fire marshal, my understanding is that any structure constructed closer than 6 feet to the property line does have additional fire rated materials that can be required, and the applicant is understanding that there may be those increased requirements if this were to be approved. And that's all I have. If you have any questions for me or the applicant, we'll be ready.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Moody. I guess we're open it for public hearing as well. Anybody like to speak on this?
Would y'all mind if I spoke?
No, sir. If you'll just state your name and address.
My name is Richard Millen. You can call me Rick. I live at 201 Larkway Drive. I've lived in this place for better over 30 years, more closer to 33 or 4. Anyway, the question, the reason she was talking about not being able to put my garage behind where I want to plant it. My field lines are back there and I have just enough room to be able to put the addition on for a garage, but I'm going to have to move my septic tank as it is. And I have room behind where I propose to put this garage to do that. But if I have to have all the setbacks and have to do all the other by putting the garage back there and all, then I have to redo my whole septic system and so on. And I'm trying to avoid to do that if I have to. So to be able to set the tank back there in the back, right behind, there's supposed to be some pictures there somewhere. I hope Jennifer had them. I just need 4 foot of setback from the property line and I can attach it to the house and move my tank and everything will work out just fine. I had Brian out and I asked him what he would do and he seemed to think that, that would probably be a good place to put whatever I needed to do right there. As long as with the fire rated walls and all that kind of stuff. We talked about all that type of thing and I'm good with that. So I'd appreciate your help.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other public comments? If not, I will close the public hearing and I would, I'm sorry, Jennifer, I may have missed it. Did you give your staff recommendation?
I will say the pictures are available in your packet that Ms. Millen was referring to. And then, my recommendation is provided as well. I recommended denial of the request based on the following. Let me see, hold on. I'm not sure that I have the correct thing in front of me. I'm sorry, just 1 second.
You're fine.
So I'll just walk through my recommendations. There are several considerations when you look at the standards for approving a variance, and I know the commissioners know well that they're fairly narrow. We very rarely grant a variance. One of the things that we are required to look at is variances can only be granted where special conditions or circumstances such as exceptional narrowness, siting, or topography are involved. And my finding was that the lot is relatively flat. The dimensions of the lot are approximately 100 feet in width, 200 feet in depth. I did find the location of the septic tank and field lines are significantly limiting factors. Number 2, variances shall not be granted to allow a use otherwise excluded from the particular district. And structures are not allowed within 10 feet of a side setback in the R1 low density residential district. This is something that I will mention to the Planning Commission. In the R1 low density district, side setbacks are 10 feet. This is different than our other residential districts, R2 and R3, where side setbacks are 5 feet. Now, the size of the lots in R2 and R3 are minimum lot sizes are smaller, more narrow lots. So I think that that was intentional. Also, in talking with the fire marshal and some of our utilities and also public works regarding stormwater, many times these areas are used as drainage ways, and they have some concern about the water runoff from roof structures if they're allowed to build structures in the side setback. Emergency vehicle access, they use the 10 feet between properties if they need emergency access to property. Also, if there's any conditions, we can consider conditions that the strict application of the provisions of our ordinance would deprive the applicant of any reasonable use of his land. Mere loss of value shall not justify a variance. There must be a deprivation of beneficial use. And my finding was that I could find no evidence that the applicant would be deprived of any reasonable use. The property is primarily a single family residence with an existing attached garage. It's just unfortunate that he may need to reduce the width of his proposed addition to maybe even a 1-car rather than a 2-car, or orient 1 car in front of the other possibly. Any variance that's granted under the provisions of this section have to be the minimum adjustment necessary for the reasonable use of the land. I did find this request would be a minor adjustment because the building would extend into the side setback, and building and fire concerns about the reduced separation could be addressed through the use of fire rated materials. It's unknown at this time without a site plan whether or not there would be drainage or stormwater concerns with allowing the structure in this area. If there were concerns, they would need to be addressed. And then last, the granting of any variance has to be in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance, not be injurious to the neighborhood, detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare, or in conflict with the comprehensive development plan. And I found that allowing a structure to encroach into the side setback could be detrimental to the welfare and public health. These areas, as I said, from speaking with other staff members, they are used to provide drainage ways for stormwater runoff, which could be negatively impacted, and generally setbacks provide for intentional separation between neighboring structures for fire safety, utility easements, utility, or emergency vehicle access.
I can address some of those if you want me to.
Actually, one second. Let me make sure that the members of our board have any questions, and then you can
I'm
address
sorry.
those. And we'll let
Okay.
you go by that. That's not a problem. All right. Thank you, Jennifer, for that. Do I have any questions from our committee or board? All right. There are none. Okay, sir, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, my lot drains from where I'm going to put it. It will drain to the front from where the building would be. It would drain to the front yard, down into the street and go to the ditch just down the hill. I live on kind of a slope lot anyway. The water in the back of the structure always drains to the back of the lot and down behind my lot into the ditch that's on down in there. And the neighbor's yard does the same thing. It all comes, and there's only one neighbor higher than I am on this ground, and it all drains to the back, and it all runs down by my fence in the back. And I've got like a 3-foot section on my fence back there. I can't grow grass because that's where all the water goes. And as far as getting in the backyard, on the other side of my house, I have 2 double gates to allow entrance and so that you don't ever come back through where I'm going to put this garage. I've always kept my old basketball pole there, so you don't drive across my septic tank and get into my field lines back there. You can always go through the other side of the lot. And oh, I lost you.
She's just showing us pictures.
Okay. Yes. All right. And then there's plenty of access for utilities to go down through there. And the only thing that goes down through there is my electricity. And it cuts across right there where you see my meter box. That would be where it comes, that stops. Anything else is just Bell Telephone in the back. Now I want to build from the basketball post. I'm going to take it out and to the fence, from the house to the edge of the driveway right there, which is so I can move my tank into the backyard and I can finally have a garage that I've not had since I've lived in the house, because nothing fits. Now, if I move everything to the back behind the fence right there, because that's where all the 10-foot requirements would come into, then I've got to redo all my septic system and the whole bit. And that, I know there's been other places in town that, that people have asked for just a minor setback. I'm not asking for a whole lot here. I'm just 6 feet's all I need. And 6 feet in that short little space right there means a lot, because when you come by the corner of my house, if I could put it right there, then I don't have to make it like an S curve to get into my garage too far. I can move it over just a little, but shorten it up a little, but I can't, I can't shorten it too far. 10 feet puts me way over to the side over there, and you just can't make that turn.
All right. Nina, have we done a motion yet? I apologize. I think I might have missed that.
No, sir.
All right. So I would entertain a motion.
What's the motion for?
I just needed a motion from the floor. I can't make a motion.
Motion to move to discussion.
Is your discussion for approval or?
I'm sorry, motion to, I guess I'm sorry, help me out here. If I want to talk to other members of the board about this, what do I need to make any type, I need to say.
You can make a motion for approval or non-approval, and then we can open it for discussion, and then that's how.
Okay, great.
Or we can actually open it for approval, and then if everybody votes no, then everybody votes no. It's just however.
Motion for approval and talk about it.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
All right. We have Mr. Shelley with Smith with the motion for approval, and Mr. Comer with the second. All right, the floor is open. Comments?
Yep, I just have one question. Can somebody clarify for me about explain to me about the field lines one more time? Is that a public right of way or
No.
not?
My understanding is that the field lines are, you cannot build a structure over field lines.
Is that a public easement or is it an easement, I guess? Or is it?
Field lines are associated with a septic tank. It's how stuff runs off of it.
Okay, that's
So
that's associated with septic, not, I just want to make sure when you said field lines, it was not a utility easement of any kind, just that's septic. Okay.
All right.
Is sewage not available? City sewage?
Not at this time. This whole subdivision in here I live in is all on septic. The city came through many years ago and our system was 10 years old and they wanted to put the pressurized system in that y'all have. And the property owners said, no, they didn't want that. And so they left us on our septic tanks.
All right. Any other comments from our board?
I've already got a structure on that property line that I'm talking about. My shed, if you look at it back there, whenever the original owner, that's not my shed. I didn't put that there. That was put there by the original owner, and the side of that setback is 4 feet already off the line. I went out and measured it over the weekend, and if you're looking at that picture, the right-hand side's already 4 feet off the line. It's already been done. I'm just asking to be able to move build a garage and take that out of the way. And it won't do any, it'll all look the same.
All right. Any other comments from our board? If not, I'm going to call the question. All right. I will. So the motion on the floor is to approve the variance case 211 for a setback under 10 feet with some conditions of the fire resistant building. I think that's part of it. All right. All right, Mr. Noes.
Move to approve.
All right. Ms. Smith.
Approve. Yes.
All right. Mr. Schwer.
No.
Mr. Noes.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I already got Mr. Noes.
Yeah.
Mr. Comer. Sorry, Mr. Comer.
Yes.
And I will vote no, but 3-2, the variance does pass.
Thank
All
you all
right.
so very much.
So with that, any other new business? I see none. We adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank y'all.
yeah.
Thank you.